LTS.
Kick back, relax, and enjoy the LTS podcast.
My best friend.
Go.
Welcome to LTS. Today we have an amazing set of topics and some amazing people to talk to. My name is Mr. J, but you already knew that. On my left here, I have the infamous Marcos. Please introduce yourself. He beat the
Hello
mic.
there. Hello there. Salutations.
And then, of course, to my other left, I have Alan. Please introduce yourself.
What's going on, gentlemen? My name is Alan. Glad to be with you guys. Let's get this conversation started.
Bass boosted Alan, man. Based Alan.
And then a little fun fact. Did you know there's a place in New York City that makes Coca-Cola the old way?
The Aki way?
Yes. Where they have the syrup and then, they start pouring in the carbonated water and they just start stirring and they're like,
As
oh,
they
yes,
should.
there you go.
As they should.
As America
can.
intended.
So, yeah. So you want to start off with the topics, Marcos?
So yeah, by the way, as of the recording, it's a Saturday, right? And
Allegedly.
yeah, I was having some breakfast, and we were, doing stuff on the skillet and all those things, and there was a question. Like, obviously, we were cooking, bacon, and I was thinking, there's always some fire, some burning, right? Some injuries requiring, unfortunately, with dealing with the heat, you might eventually get burnt. And I remember some personal tales from my family for emergency treatments to use egg whites. And then I was talking to my brother about that, and he was saying, "Yo, fact or cap, is that true?" "I'll go check it," I said. And
He's like, hold up, let me fact check this.
yeah, and I did, and conclusions are indecisive in my opinion, but the link for the results that I came up with is in the show notes, but it said it was true. But take it with a grain of salt, because how the internet is nowadays, it's just a bunch of data, but it's hard to disprove or prove that. And I went to WebMD, the capstone, the fact. I know it's not. I'm being sarcastic over here, and I'm still very inconclusive. I want to ask this to Alan specifically. And was there any special training to deal with kitchen burns in the kitchen area, like that you went through training, Alan?
Well, there's a lot of, I guess you can say, home cures or remedies. But to be honest, it really depends on I guess you can say, the degree of burn that you get. A lot of people say, well, you can add some ketchup. Others say egg whites. Yeah. There's a bunch. Some people say ice water. And again, depending on the degree of burn that you're going through, it might be something where it's like a oil burn, or you grab something that was straight out the oven or from what's it called? Or something that was on the fire, like on the stovetop or the grill. You might get hit with I don't know, like
The sauce was too hot.
Yeah, like a splatter from the sauce that was boiling, maybe, or something of that nature. But again, you have degrees of burns and
literal degrees. That there's a classification for it.
Right. And usually a kitchen would have a first aid kit that would help you, that might have like a cream or a gel that you can put on the burn that will help, the soothing aspect of it. But if the burn is really bad, it might be that you need to go to the hospital. And that's just one of those things that it really depends on the degree of burn. But yeah, I've heard from
wives' tales, literally.
Yeah, I've heard not even wives' tales, just chef's tales, cook's tales, people that are on the line's tales, like more than anything else.
Dragon
tales, more like chef's tales.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, egg whites, ketchup, ice water. I think I've heard
flour. I heard in one of them.
I've never heard flour, but the other three that I mentioned are usually the ones that are the go-tos. But also, I think, like I previously said, the first aid kit usually has some sort of cream or gel that helps with the soothing and cooling. Now, I don't know, me personally, as far as like personal stories of myself getting burned, like, yeah, I've gotten hit with hot oil from the fryer, grabbing something from the oven, splatter from like hot, boiling sauce, stuff like that. Like that's happened to me. Nothing that I couldn't survive or that I couldn't recoup from. So thankfully, thank God, nothing serious. But I think the most I've ever done with which of the degrees that I've gotten burned weren't too crazy. So ice water was something that was cool with me that I was able to use. And nothing crazy. But yeah, I don't know what type of situations both of you have gone through, but I don't know if you guys use any of these home remedies or not.
The egg white. Personally, the egg white.
Have you? How does that work for you?
I've witnessed it. I've witnessed it, but I'm like, I feel like it's a mental thing in the sense that because over here in the US, you have to put the egg in the refrigerator. So my theory is the temperature difference. It's not extreme as you running cold water. The ice it's not cold water. It's specifically ice water. That what you said?
Ice water. Yeah, because cold water can only do so much. You can only get it so cold from the tap, right? So usually just to hurry up the process of cooling the water and having enough water to ice ratio so you can stick, whether it be your hand or your arm or whatever, your finger. It usually that's the go-to. You have a bain-marie, right, or like some sort of pot or something that's depending if it's like somewhere on your arm, like say your forearm or something like that. You want to put your actual arm inside of it so you can get that cool sensation. So yeah, that's pretty much the
what was that? Welcome. Somebody hello there. Somebody close the door.
I don't know.
Yeah,
probably.
But yeah, the whole thing with the temperature difference, it just reminds me of you're trying to numb your nerves. Like, remember the whole story of when girls or people puncture their ears, how they put ice on it to numb it? That's what comes to mind when it's ice water with the egg yolk. No clue. It's just that it's very cold, respectively, to cold water, to running tap water. But now ketchup. Do you have the tradition or the
exact science behind why ketchup? I have no idea. Have no clue. But I'm guessing because it's not the same. Like the ambient temperature of ketchup usually isn't
put it in the fridge?
Hot. It's
That's
usually cool. Well, no, not really, because usually if you have like number 10 can of what's it called, ketchup in a
Heinz
in a can, yeah, like it's not gonna be cold, but it's gonna be cooler than the ambient temperature, and because
it's not fully water either.
Yeah, it's almost like in a gel form.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Place it on, and perhaps it has some sort of like, because it's an acidic property, I guess, for ketchup, it might have some sort of
chemical reaction.
Yeah, chemical reaction to the actual burn per se. But again, it really depends on how severe your burn is.
And then the physics way, a Newtonian fluid, it can absorb heat differently. That can probably be beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. And the same thing with it might be something totally different or something that has nothing to do with it. But like, I don't know if you guys ever experienced like
sharing in socials, you know.
no. I was gonna say if you guys ever experienced like a brain freeze, right? You're drinking something super cold, or you're eating ice cream.
Yes.
And like that temperature difference. Like, how do you get that temperature down to ambient or warmer weather, right? Or a warmer
it's blood flow at the end of the day. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people would recommend you put your tongue to the top of your mouth, like the roof of your mouth, to your palate, right? And usually that will help the temperature subside from super cold to like warmer at a quicker rate. So you don't feel the severe, long lasting brain freeze.
Because literally, it's actual blood that flows up there that's colder because of you ingesting cold ice cream. So the temperature difference actually does hurt you do feel the pain because of the nerve endings and the temperature sensors up in your noggin. They're becoming colder, so it hurts. Your brain case is pretty sensitive to temperature as well. So you just cutting the flow of cold with your tongue, or some people even put your thumb. It's an actual reset, if you will, with warmer. You slow down the flow of the blood, and you also have another reference that's warmer. Even your tongue sometimes it's not enough. I've heard people even put their thumb up in there where you said that, on the roof of your mouth, and that could even be a reset of temperature. But it's not obviously it's not going to be instantaneous.
You think it's a reset of temperature, or you put your brain to think there's a reset of temperature?
But no, I'm saying that it's like you cut a little bit the flow in that area of the roof of your mouth with the temperature of your fingers being warmer than your tongue than the temperature of the roof of your mouth. It's like a radiator. It absorbs heat, or it absorbs cold.
It's the actual reaction. So there is a temperature difference. So there is a reaction towards that. But again, it's nothing. And I get what Josue's trying to say. If it's like a mind over matter type of deal, where that's
another beast.
Like, yeah, it's like, say you're prone to being motion sick, right? Because if you are prone to being sick when you're in motion, like if you're in a car, people tend to get dizzy and feel nauseous, right? A lot of people say, well, hold a penny or a coin in your hand and hold it tightly, and that sensation of vomiting or being dizzy will subside. And in that case, a lot of times it's more of a mind over matter type of situation, where there's an actual temperature difference that changes, that it's not as fast as one would like, but there's actual temperature difference. So
it's only as fast as your blood flow is, basically.
Right. And again, to your point, you can definitely try to put your finger, your thumb on the roof of your mouth. There's people that might say, well, I don't want to stick my dirty fingers in my mouth,
less in this age, in this time.
Well,
this age that we live in.
Exactly. Splash a little hand sanitizer. Good luck.
Good luck. Vaya con Dios.
Yes, sir. But usually that's why people choose the tongue over the thumb.
Literally, tongue or thumb, you decide.
Yeah. You play dice with your health. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's similar to the sensation that you get when you get burned by like hot grease or oil from the fryer, or you stick your hand in like a 350, 375 degree oven and you're trying to grab
this is a PSA. Pan. This is a PSA. Alan, give you a PSA. Just stop. Get some help.
Yeah. In the wise words of Michael Jordan, stop it. Get some help.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know, Josue. I know that you've been trying your hand right now, especially perhaps with cooking at home. Have you gotten any minor burns here or there, or anything of the sort?
Nope.
No
burns.
It's like DoorDash and Uber Eats is all I need.
Exactly.
Have you gotten gloves recently?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but for like washing dishes.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, I understand why. I remember witnessing that, but there's a lot of side effects of not using gloves, so I can understand.
Witness me.
I can understand why you're using gloves.
Exactly.
Also,
so you don't get dry, wrinkly
Cracked
his-
hands. Why? Why does
Yes.
the water crack your hands? Is it the soap or the water?
He's like, it's the water.
pH level. Yeah, well, water from different states have a different pH level. Usually in kitchens, they'll give you like pH kits where you measure the pH of the water to see if it's well, usually the pH kits are for the sanitizer that you add to one of the sinks that you use for sanitation. So you do the rinse, the soapy water, and then the sanitation water. And usually you check the pH so it's not too crazy acidic that might burn through through gloves and stuff like that. But yeah, on top of that, pH being something that could potentially be dangerous, you would also know if your water is, people have hard water or they have slightly more concentrated minerally water. So how much that affects your skin on your hands, well, understand that your body or your skin will absorb as much water as possible, but it gets to a point where it gets pruny because it's been submerged in water for such a long time. So that's just a reaction your body has to like try to keep I guess you can say the correct levels. And again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor by any means. So, I mean, definitely take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. And yeah, I mean, what I do remember doing a lot when checking the water temperature is that try to turn on the faucet to the highest level of heat that the water comes out the faucet to basically to help with the sanitation of dishes, right? So hot water means that you have a better chance of killing all the germs on dishes, on pots and pans that you're washing. And it makes it easier to clean off or, just stuck on grime or grease and stuff like that. It just dissolves a lot better. So
Literally, it breaks it down.
Yeah. Just quick tip. And also, egg whites not only are good for burns, but they're delicious as well. You can definitely make some nice egg white omelets.
What about the yolks?
Full of protein. They're the good fats.
Good fats.
Yeah, well, the thing is that that's probably number one reason why you would want to eat the whole egg, not just one or the other, because they both contain certain qualities that you need to make it a complete meal when you eat eggs. So yeah, it's another thing.
No. That's how it's like. It all started with getting burnt, and how do you heal yourself? Well, you kill yourself with whichever method is available to you depending on your injury, and then you get a good meal out of it.
Yes, of course.
And then
Until you don't.
Oh, huh? Wait a minute.
And then he's like, everything goes down.
No. Just because there's gravity, not everything has to go down, Jose.
Yes, it does.
Entropy would like to differ.
Doesn't exist here.
Is that the word of the day, entropy?
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Just
He's like, no, please.
I fan.
Might be the title of this episode, huh?
I was thinking of yoked up.
Right.
Yoked up on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought today was Saturday.
It is Saturday, Jose.
Unless it comes out Thursday.
Maybe. No,
Maybe
anyways. But yeah. And the other thing that I was thinking about was, streaming and how there's a big market, a big community of different tiers of streamers. And then there's like for a while now, Jose and I were talking about different kinds
Allegedly.
of VTubers. Allegedly, yes, VTubers, real variety show streamers. And
Wait.
Yes.
But before we get into that topic, I want to say another topic here. Hold up, let me whip it
Go
out.
for it.
Take it out here. Okay.
Take what out?
The topic.
Okay.
So you guys know about aliens, right?
Yes.
Oh, don't worry about it. This is not it.
Oh.
He's like, oh no. Oh.
It's like he lied to you, Marcos.
Ivan did the whole thing. Aliens.
He tried it. He was like, no. Oh. But NVIDIA and EVGA for the longest has had a good relationship. You know, you would go into the micro
What's
centers.
their status? What's their
then,
status?
Hold up, Marcos. Let me explain. Sit down. Take a seat. So they've always been like great partners because, you know, you walk into the micros of centers and then, you know, one of the options would be EVGA for their NVIDIA graphics card. Now, however, because of what's been going on, EVGA will stop making NVIDIA graphics cards.
What?
So no more NVIDIA EVGA graphics card from NVIDIA. So it says here a hot potato. Sounds like Marcos wrote this. The relationship between NVIDIA and one of its top broad partners seems to have reached a breaking point. NVIDIA EVGA won't produce RTX 40 series GPUs, effectively exiting the graphics card entirely, possibly heralding the end of EVGA. The decision could bring closer attention to the business interaction between GPU makers and board partners. So to clear the air here, it means that EVGA will now no longer make any NVIDIA graphics card from here on out. So that includes the 40 series, the 30 series, you know, if they still make 20s and 10s and all that, if they still make the 900 series,
I don't
so then
think
who
so.
fills the vacuum of this now missing component?
So, we don't know. So it says here, EVGA
It's
told
like
Gamer
Green Ant.
Nexus that it won't sell NVIDIA graphics card after the RTX 30 series. The company will keep supporting current customer warranties, but expects to sell through its remaining inventory by the end of 2022. A primary reason for falling out is that the NVIDIA's Founders Edition 30 series GPUs have undercut EVGA's variants of these cards, especially as NVIDIA recently made significant price cuts to clear stock. GPU makers boosted supply in response to the crypto boom, but then the crash and more recent Ethereum merge has left them struggling to get rid of unsold stock while competing with the deluge of used cards as they prepare to launch a new generation. Board manufacturers like EVGA say they can't absorb these shocks the way NVIDIA can, and EVGA says it's losing hundreds of dollars on every RTX 3080 or 3090 sold. The board partner also accuses NVIDIA of lack of communication regarding MSRP when launching the new GPUs. NVIDIA doesn't know the final price. It will sell the cards for until NVIDIA announces the suggested pricing to the public. The GPU maker also enforces price floors and ceilings, restricting EVGA's ability to price variants according to how it customizes overclocking or cooling systems. Currently, EVGA calls itself NVIDIA's number one authorized partner in the US and UK graphics card sales, and NVIDIA GPUs make up about 3/4 of EVGA's gross revenue. Furthermore, the company doesn't sell AMD or Intel cards and doesn't intend to after splitting with NVIDIA. Power supplies companies comprise most of the rest of EVGA's business, but it's hard to imagine what the company will look like to the coming year or two without GeForce products.
The drama is real then. They're splitting up.
Yes, they're splitting up because of
NVIDIA.
bad treatment from NVIDIA.
Was in a toxic relationship with EVGA.
The other way around.
I mean, EVGA was in a toxic relationship with NVIDIA.
Exactly.
Wasn't being valued as much as, you know, EVA should have been valued. You know, EVGA is picking up their stuff and, you know, walking out.
Yeah. So one thing that came up is like, do you think other board members or board companies would do the same of like stopping the production of their cards because of the treatment of NVIDIA? Maybe just stick with AMD. What do you think?
Well, this is a heavy competition though. NVIDIA is a cornerstone on PC. You just imagine the clout or the PR of having NVIDIA on your side. Like EVGA has always been there, but at the same time, EVGA has its own, you know, 2 feet. You know, its history. but also together with NVIDIA. So, and AMD knows over there on this side, just waiting. Hey, you single? Just say he can wait. He could scoop up EVGA, but EVGA said no, I won't. So it's an unknown path for specifically EVGA because NVIDIA has options. Not that many, but still has options.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alan?
To be honest, bro, not my forte, but if I could give my 2 cents about it, as far as like, I think you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier in the convo, where it might be the vacuum that another company was waiting for, and potentially the remnants might be bought up by a bigger company. And I don't know, I'm thinking right now, like we were talking earlier about Apple trying to, take talent from one company to another. It might just be that if it doesn't get acquired by a bigger company, like, I don't know, like just to say something, right? Like a Microsoft or Intel or any other manufacturer that could see potential or a worthwhile investment or acquisition of the company, that they might use the components or even the technology to further along their,
or the PR even.
Yeah, but I think more than anything else, it would probably be the technology, because I don't know, it just might be that they can acquire some sort of information or talent from that company that probably could be beneficial for their teams. But I don't know. It's an interesting situation. It's sad for the people. More than anything else, I think it's sad for the people that were working there, and now we kind of left high and dry with I don't know. Maybe they're getting some sort of options from options from other companies that they're looking for them to move over to their company.
The scoop up.
Yeah, definitely. So that's as far as I could, see about the situation. But I don't know. My guess is as good as yours about what might happen with the workforce there, and the potential I guess of or the lack of what is it, GeForce again?
NVIDIA,
NVIDIA cards.
Right. So, I mean, whatever is out in the market, I mean, I don't know. It might be that they become a collectible, like Pokemon cards, because it's like, oh, it's a company that, but because it's technology. Yeah, because it's technology, it might become obsolete in the next couple, like 6 months or so. I don't know. That's
the dilemma. They just said they noticed a demand in the cryptocurrency, so the relationship was strong between those two because there was a demand, and then unfortunately the market shifted, and NVIDIA was able to react by slashing prices, but EVGA doesn't have that luxury to slash. They were losing hundreds of dollars, they were saying, on each graphics card, and they were saying we can't afford to lose that. You already know the back-end logistics is going to be tight, just to keep those prices, and then lose more whenever the price went down. It just wasn't economically feasible.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, cut your losses where you can. I guess that's what their mentality was at that point. Cut their losses. Sorry, English is hard today. And definitely try to figure out if they're going to liquidate. They're going to liquidate. They might start selling pieces of the company off, or they might just
look for a new partner, maybe.
Yeah, or they might try to appease to a bigger company to acquire them. And it kind of reminds me of something that happened earlier, I guess in the month, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And it's switching a little bit off topic, so I do apologize. Where there's this new thing that Microsoft is doing, and it's kind of like similar because Microsoft works very closely with Adobe, right?
Yeah, and
So-
yeah.
So right now, Adobe kind of went down in the stock market, and people started asking, why? Or I started asking why more than anything else. Why did Adobe go down in such a way? Well, it's because they acquired a company called I forgot, but point is that they acquired a company. The point is that they spent a good amount of money acquiring this company, and it was I think in the billions, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason why they acquired the company or bought the company was simply because they saw it as a potential threat and competition, and they kind of the way I look at it, and
They absorbed it basically.
right, and this is something I was definitely getting. Someone was shedding light about. His name is Joseph Carlson on YouTube. He was basically shedding light on how it's very similar to how Google acquired YouTube. It saw it as a potential competition, and instead of competing, after it tried to compete with it, they saw that YouTube's growth was bigger and faster than theirs. So they did the next best thing, which was buy them out and acquire them.
Yeah, that's one of the
So-
big questions there. Like, how? What was the insight? Like, what kind of competition were they in? Because Google's a search engine, and was YouTube ever a search engine? I guess, yeah. Forget what I said. There is a search engine option there.
Well, what's it called? And the name of the company that Adobe bought was Figma. And to your point, yeah, I know it's.
Yeah, it's
so-
true. I thought it was like Ligma.
No.
No,
Oh,
not
shit.
at all. Not at all. Figma, right? So it's basically the same. It's very similar to what Adobe does, but it's in the cloud. It's not something that you work on your computer locally and then upload it to the cloud. You literally do the same, almost very similar things like Adobe, but you do it in the cloud. So it's kind of
It's
like
MO.
seamless.
Was almost the same.
And, right. So you see this, you start seeing the invasion of this, I guess you can say a very natural growth inside the Microsoft company that people say, well, I can't work without it now. It's very essential for me to work with this program on my computer, to work with people around the world that work at Microsoft. So Adobe is like, well, guys, you and I are connected at the hip. We can't have this competition, right? So essentially what they did was basically, it seems like we're not able to compete with them, so might as well acquire them. And yeah, that's basically what happened. And I think that this might be very similar to what might happen right now with this graphics card manufacturer, where people might see it as a potential, buy or liquidation or something of the sort that might be helpful for someone, or one company's loss is another company's gain, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Wasn't
yeah.
Mac ever? Wasn't Apple also like with EVGA for a while in its tower PCs?
Maybe it was.
Yeah, that's another thing in that minds, like Windows and Mac, that they compete in that kind of market. I think EVGA had a couple contracts with Apple. I could be wrong here. Take it with a grain of salt. So in the sense of working with NVIDIA, what does NVIDIA do that made it so unique versus every other provider? Because I always thought that EVGA and NVIDIA stood together, up there in the market. But what market is that? It's the super niche production of graphics cards. And in the professional industry engineering, they're pretty necessary in some areas. So NVIDIA has a foothold. So EVGA said the same thing with Figma and Adobe.
You almost said Ligma, huh?
I plead the fifth. And it said, let's join it. But now, the current dilemma, I feel like EVGA either for a while can stay solo because it has the backing of Apple. In my head, I think I could be wrong, and and also could sell its own hardware alone, sail the high seas alone. You know what I'm saying? Because Nvidia is a very niche product that not every computer or even Windows needs, but Adobe's also a pretty niche product, and it's being seamless with Apple and also with Windows. Like you said, they're kind of in the same league, not in the same league, in the same, I guess in the same league, that they're a niche product, but they're high players. They're high rollers in that niche service. So I appreciate I can connect the dots.
I think of it like this. I think it's sad to see EVGA goes, because like, keep in mind, I have an EVGA card. You know, I'm one of the few people that
the main demographic
has the RTX 3080.
Yeah.
So it's sad for me to see them go, especially for the reason of, because Nvidia doesn't support them as much, to the point where like they're starting to lose money. It make it seem like Nvidia is now putting an effort to these partners, and they're like saying, well, you know, you make them, you know, here's our parts, make them however you want, but we won't tell you how much we're going to charge them when we make them, and we're also going to control how much you charge.
The MSRP, you just said it, yeah.
You know, it's like saying, you know, there's too much control in this. So for them, I feel like it's a good reason to leave. However, it is going to affect different customers.
They said they weren't going to lose support the current customers they have. But this is hearsay.
Well, no, but like once the stock ends, yeah, I think it's still the warranty. The warranty is like 2 or 3 years. But then again, it's like we have lost a partner or another person or another option you could buy with different cards. And this is one of the more popular cards. You know, a lot of people want an EVGA card. Not many people trust the other vendor. I think it was like MSI, mostly because like they're too expensive, or they're not that much of a quality like EVGA.
The whole story with the 20
series,
like
EVGA has always been like a good middle ground, where like you can you won't have the flashiest of cards, but you'll know it's a good build quality and it's a good team that represents behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's a valid point.
So there's a point of view as a customer of you purchasing the hardware or the service, or there's the point of view as the company with your workers, your logistics, your earnings, like your bottom line dollars. Like, am I losing? Am I paying out more than what I'm earning? Am I in the red and the black? I gotta still pay taxes at the end of the day as a company.
Yeah, and it's almost like saying that Nvidia is like capping how much they can make,
shooting them in the legs.
It's like, it's okay because like, you know, that helps prevent the company from overcharging them, but it's also like at the same time they get to the EVGA are cheaper, and then like Nvidia can charge an arm and a leg for it and be like, well, what the hell?
And you tell us to be at this price, we keep our promise, and then you, the creator, are moving the goalposts constantly. The inconsistency, the worry, that's what probably, and a lot of politics too. That's what threw them off. That's what could have incited their team to leave.
Yeah.
I feel like that could slide into the quality of the worker, man. Like the incentivized of being better, or just not being, you know, giving it your all. Right, Alan?
I think you're on the money when you're talking about moving the goalposts. Because yeah, it's unfair, but I think that also tends to happen with a lot of these companies where they have like to set some sort of goal to get a certain product out to the people, and then when something is really good or something is almost necessary,
demanded,
right, like your build or whatever the case is, and people are constantly, or the company constantly moves the goalpost to charge a certain price because of obviously supply and demand. Once the demand is reached and you have a surplus, obviously you kind of are left with you're holding the bags in a sense, right? And what do you have to show for it, right?
You still gotta pay rent. Don't matter if you sell them or not. The factory needs to that rent to be paid and the workers.
So I think, it could be perceived as a calculated risk, but on Nvidia's side, right? Because they knew that could potentially happen, even more so because of what was happening with a lack of prime materials to build these things. So
these 2 years were crazy, man.
Right. So supply was low, and it could be that it was artificially low because it might have been that they had the product on hand, that they weren't able to ship it on time because they were still docked at ports or still on one side of the globe and needed to get onto the other side of the globe.
They could have just literally crossed it across I think they're made in Taiwan. They could have just crossed it to Korea, and it might have been the other side of the world because the ships weren't moving probably.
Exactly. So things like that, and say, okay, maybe they said, all right, F the ships, let's get them on planes and ship them. Now that as a reaction would make the actual product even more expensive because now you have to pay to cover the cost of the flight to get to where it needs to get to, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case. So again, constantly moving the goalposts depending on the, quote unquote demand that they have, right? And it might be an artificially produced demand where it's like, yeah, everybody what you guys mentioned earlier, with cryptocurrency and whatnot. That obviously had a big influence in it. But I think also people that wanted to build their PCs,
or what about scalping?
Right, or you're stuck at home and you want to build your PC because you're stuck at home because you're not allowed to go out, right, for whatever reason. And scalping was another big thing, right? So, but I think more than anything else, that moving the goalposts and that perceived calculated risk, where it's like Nvidia knew what they were doing, and I wouldn't be surprised if Nvidia at some point says, "Oh, we're sorry," or whatever the case is. We're gonna buy you up. Don't worry. Might be that could happen. It might be that Samsung buys them. It might be that Microsoft might see potential in some of their talent in like individuals.
Yes, very true.
So I don't know where it goes from here, but all I know is that it's unfortunate. And to Josue's point, it's like, dang, bro, yeah, you were relying on this, quality product that they made, and for you to not have that option anymore, it really kind of leaves, it really leaves a vacuum for someone else to fill in that certain situation or niche, right? Or need of a product. And if you have kind of like bum products that are like low tier, and then you have the top high quality products that you don't really want to dish out the money for what it is, because it's like, I'd rather buy the mid-tier product that's going to give me comparable, performance. And I know it's, the team behind it puts out great quality.
Might not history.
And it has a history of producing great quality products, right? So it really is a shame. But I mean, people are I say it again, one company's loss is another company's gain, and sometimes it's unfortunate, but that's how the cookie crumbles for these companies, and they're always looking out for themselves because
Nvidia,
and not just Nvidia. I mean, a lot of these startups and tech companies have gone through the ringer, and it almost seems like everybody's trying to step on each other's shoulder to try to get up to the top, because it's like, yeah, you have like these I guess strong, or what you would call strong bond formations of like companies kind of being in bed with each other, because it's like, the only way I can see myself going out, and you have that reliance on the other company to a fault. And this is just one of the many, what's it called? Many examples that we can actually see that once you rely too much on one company to be your help,
Your rock.
yeah, it kind of might, you don't know, you never know, because they're not out there to look out for you or your company or your employees, so you kind of have to diversify in that sense. But again, I mean, it could be that another company might acquire it. It could be that Nvidia just did it just to buy it up on cheap. I don't know.
A long play, you might say,
Yeah, I guess a long play. It's like
to
what's that
devalue
saying?
it.
Yeah, it's like what's the saying? Never let a good emergency go to waste.
What? Okay.
I mean, people play that type of
Yeah.
messed up game. But I don't know, guys. I've been
And
rambling.
this is big companies. Now imagine how the worker might feel, man.
Hey, bro.
But before that,
go ahead.
I was gonna say like this, that we can continue on to the next point.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go with. The quiet quitting.
Which one? Oh, you don't want to do the counterculture?
Okay, sure. You guys down for counterculture? Careful with that. With the streaming, man. Like that, it's been a popular thing. But want me to?
Wait, Mother, how do you ask the question? Do you want to go and then you go in?
Well, what do you guys think? What's your understanding of counterculture,
I don't even know what it is.
Alan?
I plead the fifth.
Well, for me, a perception of counterculture just in general is the exact opposite of you being pop, the concept of pop culture, like music, let's say Jay-Z or Nicki Minaj or what's this other one,
Baby.
Dre, all those guys, right? At a certain point, specifically Jay-Z was or Eminem or what's another one? Those people weren't in the zeitgeist of being, they weren't there at the beginning. They were like seen as like, hustlers, all those things. And just
Marcos.
starting with music.
You're peeking.
I am. Oh, my bad. Thank you for looking out. I was peeking too hard.
Yeah, step back a little bit.
I did, yeah. No, there you go. So yeah, having the it's more visible, it's more seen as music and has a certain fashion. And for me, my reference point would be the 80s, right?
What?
Yeah, the 80s. You know how Michael Jackson was dressed, all different colors. Rock was there with
Wait, but before you go into your examples, explain what counterculture is.
the transition between the 80s and the 90s was like, people didn't want to be all that fanciful dressing of the 80s in culture, in music, in your dressing, and it switched the entire concept in the 90s with like if you like the popular culture, the popular music of Panthera, all those guys, you're a normie. So, counterculture. I was doing that before it was popular. Those kinds of people, that's like counterculture. Ironically, it's also a culture. And just to be counterculture.
Sure, it's a culture, or it's just out there?
Considering popular stuff,
Because
things that sell.
like a culture is something like enormous and broad. And this isn't exactly like that broad.
It's
very
becoming
specific.
though. And that's the same thing in streaming. Like an example, I like to refer it as a bell curve.
It's like saying like cancer culture is actually a culture. It's not really. They say it because it sounds fancy, but like a culture is something broad, enormous. Like for example, like Mexican culture. That's enormous. That's broad. That has history behind it. That has food.
Let's look at the general definition of counterculture. Hey Google, what is counterculture?
According to Wikipedia, a counterculture is a culture whose values and norms of behavior differ substantially from those of mainstream society, sometimes diametrically opposed to mainstream cultural mores. A countercultural movement expresses the ethos and aspirations of a specific population during a well-defined era. According to Wikipedia,
Those deities
a
of the
counterculture
90s.
is a culture whose values and norms of behavior differ substantially
Yeah, but
from
you
those
got
of
that,
mainstream
like,
society, sometimes
from
diametrically opposed to mainstream
music.
cultural mores. A
No, you got that
countercultural
from
movement
Wikipedia.
expresses the ethos and aspirations of a
This isn't very
specific
repeating.
population during a well-defined
Yeah, just
era.
stop it.
There you go.
It's like what I'm saying is like it's not really a culture though. It's like
time
you know
frame.
culture like over here. Like over here, the definition of culture is the art and other manifestation of human intellectual achievements regarded collectively.
Well, and then there's a culture to counter that.
Counterculture, no, but like you can't call that a culture though.
It's a group of people,
'Cause
a
it's like-
large group of people.
Yeah, but like what have they done? It's like they've done one
Counterculture?
specific thing.
Let's
It's like
see.
they
In
have-
the
they have done-
90s, in the
but like,
2000s.
look. It's like they have done the same thing over and over again, right?
For a
But
certain
that's
amount
not
of time.
really a culture. That's just something someone
trend.
doing. Yeah, a trend basically. But that's not a culture. A culture is like, you know, typically the most easy example is like the culture of a country. You know, the history behind it, the food, how they dress, how they act.
And what did I say? How they dress, how they act,
Oh.
the choice in music.
Like that's a culture. That's a culture.
And then there's
You
the
can't
ones
really
that
say
are diametrically
counterculture
opposed
or
to it.
cancer culture.
I'm not saying
It's like
cancel.
that. That's not really a culture. That's like it's
A
like
trend to
giving
cancel it,
definition to
to counter it.
something.
Yeah.
No. It's like saying you're giving definition to something by giving it such a broad word like culture. Because culture is massive. And saying, okay, yeah, this is big enough to contain what this is. Like cancel culture, for example, right?
But
The trend of where people would like basically ruin their career because they didn't agree with what they did.
and then
It's
counter.
like that's not
is bigger than
culture.
that.
That's not culture. That's just some messed up thing people do.
And then what's counterculture? Look an example for
No.
counterculture.
But the problem isn't like what what I'm trying to say is like we shouldn't really call this a culture.
But it's
it could be
being
a
called.
trend. But that's my argument. It shouldn't be called that. It should be called maybe like a trend or like something smaller because the culture is massive.
Yeah, but that's not the point at the end of the day. It's we're not saying that it shouldn't be. I agree. The thing is that I'm just calling it what it is, that it's being
Well,
been
if
called.
anything, for now, we could just call it like a counter trend or something
Counter
like
movement.
that. There you go.
Well, Marcos, I think that's intellectually irresponsible to try to say just because a few people name something a culture, it automatically becomes a culture.
What's the minimum? What's the threshold?
Well, if it's something that's going to involve culture, it transcends time and it transcends people.
What's the
as far
minimum
as,
time then?
Well, you just named it yourself. When it takes on, you mentioned it from the 80s to the 90s, so it actually
10-year
becomes
increments. Yeah.
right. And I kind of agree with what Josue was saying. When something becomes a trend, and I'll just give you this example. Usually, fashion trends come in and out of fashion periodically. So, like every 10 years or so, certain things will come in and out of fashion. A quick example. Now that
The
we're
80s,
going,
just the full 80s. Yeah.
well, yeah, you can say that, but there's specific things that even in the 80s that actually became part of the culture. Whether it be music, like to your point, whether it be a certain type of art, certain types of
Foods that came out.
right. But just let me just give you the example of fashion, something that's a little bit more present and not as old that we can actually see. For the last, I want to say 2 years or so, two things that were out of style and not looked at as something fashionable or in trend were cargo pants and Chelsea boots, where Chelsea boots were in fashion or on trend about 3 to 4 years ago, that when you were going into I guess you can say fall season, that was something that every fashion mogul or fashion icon, someone that you would see on Instagram or YouTube, would actually say, "Oh, these Chelsea boots are amazing," and and for the last 2 years, they kind of poo-pooed them. Now, who made the Chelsea boot into a staple, I guess you can say, of footwear for men? If I'm not mistaken, it was the Beatles, and the Beatles didn't come out in the 80s.
They come out in the 60s.
I believe they did. And their fashion sense wasn't even something, I guess, I don't put any thought into it, but it was something that they wore and they made it fashionable to wear as something of a daily, daily wear.
Driver, yeah.
Right. So, when you start piecing those things together, you see something like that fall in favor and then fall out of favor periodically, but they never tend to stop, right? Same thing with jeans, bell-bottom jeans, or girls
Junko
now using
jeans.
Right, or women using jeans that are instead of being low-waist jeans, they're high-waisted jeans.
The 70s.
Right, they went in and out of style, and those are something that you can say that are part of a trend that cycle in and out, right? So I would say like those increments of 10 years or something that would tell you a little bit more of something that is part of a trend, but also connected to an actual culture that arose at some period of time in the past that, made such a significant impact that kind of, reciprocates or comes in and out.
Basically what makes sales at the end of the day too.
Well, yes, but there's certain things that come in and out of trend that might be perceived as a culture, but it's not. I think Josue hit it on the head with naming like Mexican culture. Mexican culture is not only unique, but it's something that it's almost ever changing, right? So
there's even subcategories there, pre-Hispanic and post-Hispanic too. So
right, and then everything in between. Right now, and just to give you a quick example, right now the president of Mexico is, and again we're celebrating what's it called, Independence Day, Mexican Independence Day weekend. It was from the 15th and 16th.
Yep.
They're celebrating the Mexican Independence Day in Mexico. So right now, for those that are in the future, you probably already saw the Canelo fight. So congratulations to you guys. But more on culture, the president of Mexico has been working really hard with locals in different states of Mexico to try to help out the indigenous people from different states to try to maintain, fortify, and contribute to Mexico as a whole, right? So he's giving them shine, he's giving them time, he's giving them resources so they can maintain that culture, that
history,
right? That's something that we're not privy to because we don't live there, nor do we have any real inkling of what their culture is really like, whether it be food, language, because they speak in dialects, a lot of these people. And they all live in a country, right? Same country of Mexico that speaks predominantly Spanish. So, those are things that you can consider culture. So those, and when I reference us as far as like part of Mexican culture, we were born in the northeast of the United States of America. We have a very particular set of skills, I guess you could call it. Yeah,
of just an example, the US.
And you can take pride in that because we're not from Chicago, we're not from California, we're not from Texas, nor are we from Miami and Florida. We're from, in particular from New York, and not New York in one of the 5 boroughs per se, but we live in the state of New York. And
there's even more subdivisions in that area too.
Exactly. So whether
each one have their own culture,
right? Whether it be our language, right? Our first language,
our form of speaking our first language,
right? The way we speak and communicate with each other, the other cultures that are around us, that we tend to pick up certain cues from them, and they pick up certain cues from us. The way we do certain things, even our food, I guess our palate, the way it's been brought up, is very distinct, with touches of Puerto Rican food, Dominican food, Italian food, French food, and then obviously as the foundation of it being home cooked meals from our family, right? That are Mexican.
But come on back, Alan.
No. The reason I'm giving you this information is because I think where the counterculture thing comes from, I agree with Josue in the sense that
it's a trend.
We tend to paint a broad brush of what counterculture is, and just because few people, and you might say, no, well, it's a whole bunch. Well, again, I don't think it's a whole bunch, when especially
it's not the same quantity.
Yeah, when you come to the point of saying the counterculture isn't profitable for streaming, on top of you trying to define what a counterculture is, everything is going to be counterculture to you
or to anyone.
If you are not in that, I guess you can say, like or dislike situation, right? You might like something which might make you gravitate towards whatever they're streaming, and then there's some things that you might not agree with or simply don't know about, and you might disagree with it because you don't know about it. So that might be your
doesn't interest you.
So I think we paint a broad brush when it comes to certain things, what we consider nowadays counterculture.
But again, so the concept of counterculture is something that sells, that's diametrically opposed to the concept that you want to be diametrically opposed to. In this case, for streaming, it's the concept of
so it's like hate.
Not
like
really.
The hater's gonna hate.
Yes, but that entire concept of you being, you're doing something, you're being successful, I'm automatically, no matter what, it's gonna pull people just for the entire idea to be against you. And some people have made a business on that, and some people have lost just because of them following a trend. Like, you're just being a co-signer, and people have a perception of you, and there's always drama. So an example, there's different tiers of, this is a sub niche of people that use the internet and people that stream specifically. There's, I like to describe it as a bell curve, right? There's the outliers and there's the people in the middle. Unfortunately, people in the middle don't attract that much attention. So that's have you heard the concept of, not via Facebook, the concept of the Greek word meta?
Yes. You mean what? Facebook?
Not Facebook. That's what I was saying. Not Facebook. Outside of Facebook.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but what's the context?
This is a subcategory within Twitch called What's the Meta? And the meta is what people would click to, what they, like you said, what they're attracted to. Even it doesn't matter who the person is, but what are they attracted to? An example.
It's like saying what's the current trend.
There you go. There you go. So it's probably they did it as a meme. Probably my idea, understanding then proper.
They probably named it without knowing what it is. Yeah. What the actual definition is.
There you go. So it just became marketable versus just saying trend instead of. So anyways, there you go. So the whole thing with there was a certain time where streamers, high-level streamers like Ludwig, Pokimane, all these people would just be watching live TV shows on their stream. And they would just be sitting there and commentating all those things. And the people were like, watch this show. Okay, I'll watch this show. And there was a lot of issues with licensing. And Twitch wouldn't do anything about it until, unfortunately, this is how the dice rolled. A certain streamer started doing the same thing, and there was a lot of things. Then there was a whole concept of adpocalypse or the copyright apocalypse. There's a whole, again, different naming schemes like those. The entire concept of changing metas or changing trends has gone so much faster on the internet, specifically in this subcategory of Twitch, that's like, oh, this is going on. You don't know when it starts, but when it starts, people that are high level streamers, they always have their ear on the ground. And when you notice the high level streamers are doing it, a lot of people that are in the middle of this bell curve that I'm saying, try to copy them. And unfortunately, there's the people that are all the way in the bottom, the lower end of the bell curve, that don't do it. So guess what? They're not. The whole thing of being a streamer is that you want to get people clicks. Basically, a click, a viewer, is money for you as a streamer. So best bet that the outliers in the high tiers would always want to do something new, more or less cause drama. So if you're in the counter culture and the concept of doing your own thing, wanting to be your own, do your own stuff, you're not gonna succeed. And that's what I was observing. Like, that's the way that streamers, variety streamers,
observing or listening,
and observing, because there's a whole thing with different. I'm not gonna say their names, but these streamers were always like, oh, this person's doing it, let me do it, and this person was unlucky enough.
Why not say their name?
Do you want to say it?
I mean, I don't know who you're talking about.
Pokimane. Do you know who Pokimane is, Alan?
Oh yeah.
I've heard of her, but I mean, I'll let you finish your thought, bro. I've heard of her, but I've never heard of this particular situation that you're trying to convey. So go ahead.
An example that Pokimane, right? She wasn't the first streamer on doing this. They were watching Avatar: The Last Airbender on stream. She noticed that it was pulling the top streamers. She's like up there with the top 5, the top 10 on this platform called Twitch, which is a niche. Again, this platform is, compared to the whole internet, is a small thing, but it's within its own website. It's a huge deal that the top 5 or the top 10 people are watching copyrighted content without any consequences. But then when Pokimane started, the whole she was the first person to be reported of watching copyrighted content. And what happened? She got banned from Twitch for watching copyrighted content. And the meta, once she got banned, is how fast can top tier streamers get banned? But in the meantime, have clicks and have people get in, watch before this person gets banned out of Twitch. This person gets a break, but gets a good payout for pulling in that many people. Get a 1 week, 2 week break, and then come back in and do it again, and just cause drama, if you will. And then that became the trend. And now, right now, I don't know what the trend is, but that trend was in for a while. Like, 3 months, correction. The whole thing of watching anime or watching One Piece or watching Naruto was in the beginning of the summer. And then by the end of summer, or we're not in the end yet, technically, it was, who can get banned faster and exploit the rules and regulations of Twitch. But these high tier streamers that are outside in the positive end of this bell curve that I conceptualized in my head are getting payouts and exploiting the system, which is, hey, more power to them, right? They're exploiting a weakness in the system and getting away with it. But then it's creating a bad precedent with the middle of the road streamer, even worse, to the low end streamer. Imagine if the low end streamer tries to do that, they're out of business, if you will. They don't have the fortitude, the fortitude. So you're always gonna hear them like, there's a lot of a turnover of people being streamers or not being streamers in the mid and lower levels versus the high tier streamers that have been doing it for their household names on that website or on social media. They're doing drama after drama, things that would ruin everyone below them and cause trends. There you go. They're trendsetters. So that's what I was saying. You being diametrically opposed to the trendsetters is not a profitable thing as a streamer.
I mean, you want to go first, Josue, or?
I mean, the only thing I would have to say is, like, for the whole, like, streaming you watching actual shows. It's like, let's be honest, we all knew something would have happened. They all knew it. They did it because, like Marco says, it was popular.
They were exploiting a fault.
we all knew that copyright is a thing because remember, that was around the same time that YouTube was being heavy on copyright, where if you have clips of shows, they would copyright strike you.
Or music.
So, everyone knew that this whole wave of like copyright strikes is happening because now the copyrights have been modified for online content. And now is when, people are like seeing the consequences of basically taking clips of shows and posting them online. So it's like, this wasn't new. This was something coming in. It was just that Twitch was a special case scenario because Twitch is a live streaming service. It's not, you post a video and it's there for a while. It's, it's like, once you live stream, it's gone. I think back in the day, they didn't have VODs yet. So, for big streamers like Pokimane, I think she even like admitted it. Well, I might be, I don't even know yet, but I knew for the most part, everybody knew what was going on with YouTube. That's
just
for sure.
A matter of time.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'll give them this. It's like, okay, you do what you have to get views. Yeah.
It's your business.
And it's not like, this wasn't really, the only people this was hurting was the big company. So it's like, it's like, do what you have to do. But know that there are going to be consequences later down the line. So for her to get later banned, like Pokimane to get banned, it's like she knew what this was going to happen one way or another. This is why she had like a plan to like go ahead and get unbanned. And we all know Twitch is going to do it because Pokimane is one of their, if not the top female streamer on Twitch.
She's a household name.
Yeah. So, this is like one of the things about being big is, and it's like, I think even at the time they were starting to contract streamers. So it's like, it's unfair. Yes, because literally Pokimane can use her name to get out of a ban, but at the same time Twitch is paying money for them, so it makes sense that they can do this because at the end of the day Twitch has to get a profit off of this.
But at the end of the day, they exploited that in itself too. Oh, how fast can these high tier streamers get banned, cause this whole drama, bring more people into the whole thing because of clips, if you will, and they go back, take a week-long break, come back, get them banned, come back, and do it all over again. So that's the current trend right now. How fast can high-tier streamers get banned exploiting terms of services for their benefit? So there's a solution, but that solution is exploited now. What's the next thing?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter because whatever the next thing is going to later change.
Correct.
And we're not live streamers. We're not here streaming this on Twitch or YouTube.
Correct.
We're out here in our comfortable homes, drinking some good drinks, recording.
Yeah, but that's the business trend, the business model for streaming is it's not like the quality. It's just like what's controversial.
It's like I don't mind that people copy a trend because it's a trend. It's like people do what's popular. That makes sense. It's like, how are you going to rake in the money? Yeah. Like, how do you like rake in the views? How do you get popular? By doing trends. A lot of people, that's how they got famous. So there's no issues in like
infamous.
Oh yeah. But it's like, there's no problem with copying a trend. That's, honestly, that's easier than like making a trend. If you make a trend, then it's kudos for you because that means that like, if you make a trend, you have the possibilities of making another one. It's like you didn't have to rely on something to get popular. You did it on your own. So there's like a lot of people that, and you'll see like the people who are trend makers, they do better.
They're outliers
than people that just copy trends. Yeah, I mean, look at Vine. A lot of people started a lot of trends on Vine, and most of Vine stars are still pretty popular to this day.
What about the React channels? Are they popular?
Like from the, what's it called? The brothers?
No, just the concept of reaction. They're like, oh no, it's transformative.
No, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what are they called? The Fung Brothers? No, not Fung Brothers. No, but like, you know, there is a React channel.
It got copyrighted. It got denied. Yeah, that happened in the early like 2017.
No, but like they no. They're still going.
Oh, so
they're still going, but they have.
So they
permission.
did copyright the name.
But however, they're a trend maker because like, look, who did it before them? I don't remember anyone.
They were the ones.
Like
2017, 2016.
Yeah, and look at them now. They're still one of the most well-known. Yeah, I think it is the Fine Brother. I don't remember, but I know that, you know, they're still making videos and still getting millions of views. Versus people are just now starting a React channel where they react to like random content. And look at it now. It's like, I don't know that many React channels, but the one where they started it all, I know who that is. So, you know, it's like if you start a trend, that just shows that you have the capabilities of, you know, making it, becoming more famous. Now, of course, you have to keep it up. If not, you know, down the drain it goes. But yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say.
It started back in 2013, 2011, 2013. These guys. But the other concept is that, you know, a lot of live streamers, a big name live streamers on Twitch, are pulling in stuff from YouTube and not giving the proper recognition. And they're saying, oh, it's my product now. So that's the entire meta. Okay, what can you pull from YouTube? Or that was a trend that you can pull in from YouTube stuff and just put your tag, or have an editor or whatever, put a thumbnail. Oh, you're watching Gordon Ramsay, and right. Gordon Ramsay doesn't need the clicks on YouTube, obviously, but another YouTube creator, which Pat does months and time to edit, to curate the channel, versus the entire concept of Twitch stream. That was a trend for a while. I think it still is, and it's a profitable one, but the people come in how you react, and they don't even react completely. There's another YouTube that went into streaming called Sniper Wolf. There was a whole drama that she just had her video. This is hearsay, okay? That she just had her monitor with the camera, and she wouldn't even watch the video. She would have people having a script of the video, and she would just react to what it said on the script. And she got exposed because she had glasses on, and you can see the screen on her glasses, and you just see Google Docs and the entire script of what the video is going to be. An editor later posted, and there was no shame because, you know, she found her recipe for success, and a lot of people were hating on that. What I'm just observing is, imagine trying to do that as a mid-tier streamer or a lower-end streamer. You're not going to go anywhere, versus like Sniper Wolf, that's been on YouTube, that's been on different live TV stuff.
No, but like, I remember that Sniper Wolf, and this is like a really big controversy, one of the issues that we have with her is that she would just copy content and like say it's hers.
Transformative content.
Like, say like she is the trend maker, when in reality she really isn't nothing. I think like she got more famous with gaming, but
wasn't she like on an esports team, like an all girls esports team back in the day?
I don't think so.
She was on live TV too. That's what I remember.
But I remember like a lot of people don't like her because she just literally just copies and pastes and say it's hers.
Then the haters, if you will.
Haters or people that are factual.
Yeah, but they still hate. I'm not saying that they're not factual. That's the whole concept that I'm saying. People that go up there.
It's like, you know, you don't like this person, but for reasons, and they're valid.
But she still pulls clicks, if you will.
Yeah, because she, like I said, like we've all said, she's just doing what's popular.
Mm-hmm. And then creating controversy, thus pulling more people. Yeah, and
also that too.
That's like a domino effect, but the gap or the whole thing that they do becomes not feasible for people that are in the middle, or is not not a good business recipe for the people that are in the middle of streaming or on the lower end. There's another streamer that I follow that's not a high tier streamer. This person makes his business outside on podcasts, right? And this person pulls people, literally makes his listeners on podcasts and say, I do Twitch streaming on blah 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 schedule, and And I've jumped into this person's Twitch streams, and he's streaming to 25 people, to 2 people, to 3 people, or just to 4 people. But he's having fun. You know what I'm trying to say? He's having fun playing emulators from the 80s, from this 80s video games, and this person's up there in the age.
Where are we going with this?
I'm just saying, like, imagine trying to bring this person into like the top tier streamings on the same platform. It's not feasible. One, he's a male streamer. The other one, he's an older male streamer. His niche is so niche within Twitch that he's more or less diametrically opposed of causing drama and the trend of causing drama. He's doing his own thing, but people aren't following because it's not pulling clicks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like the whole market, the trend setting of causing drama, doing quote unquote transformative media. And just because you've been on that's how it is, right? That's how it plays. You've been on the platform for years. Pokemon, an example, she's been doing this streaming things for 9, almost 10 years. Imagine Ludwig's been doing this for at least 5 years. Like, they got in the game earlier when the pool for competition was less. So I'm just,
Marcos, who is this gentleman you said that is very opposite of, I don't know who else that you were just saying a moment ago?
The Twitch channel is called Blurry Photos, and he likes to play like 70s or 80s like pixel, like 8-bit video games.
Well, and I think you don't give on. I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't think you're giving him enough credit, because if you ran into his channel, being that he's very opposed to being a trendsetter, it just speaks volumes of his hard work and dedication about what he does. And
I'm not diminishing it though.
No.
When did I say I diminished it?
I'm not saying you. No, I'm saying that if that's the thought process of you thinking about everyone else thinking about his channel, then that in turn makes it seem like he is not a trendsetter, when in reality he probably is.
I heard a quote. This is, if you got 25 concurrent streamers at any time on Twitch, you're up in the 90th percentile. Imagine everyone on Twitch that's on the 90th percentile.
Let me put it to you this way then, Marcos. Look, and I hope Josue can add to this if he chooses. But let's take our podcast. All right. We haven't been as consistent as we should have or should be in order for us to get perhaps more people to listen to. How, like, I guess you can say into this mix, we can also include how diligent we've been for promoting our podcast to other people, whether it be our circle of influence on social media, XYZ, right? So what if, just say as an example, what if we start reacting to hot takes from people from Trash Taste, right? As an example, right? I don't particularly see every episode that they do, but I have seen a couple. And I think the last thing I would want to do is try to rehash or take something as an example, a hot take or a topic that they've brought up in one of their episodes, and not even verbatim, just mentioning it to me would be disingenuous to the people that we're trying to have as listeners. And I could say, Marcos, Josue, we should definitely copy and paste one of their hot takes or one of their topics and put it and plaster it on our podcast and make it sound like it's our own original idea. But that's disingenuous. Now, other people might say, no, it's a valid, point of view, a topic that you're actually, tackling here.
It's a market.
Again, me personally, I think that would be disingenuous. I don't think that And I just bring them up because it's something. It's a podcast that's very popular with other people that listen to anime and some of their other points of views that they like to talk about. Right? Where I get where you're coming from, where you start mentioning big names and how they go about.
Pull.
Right. Well, the names pull because obviously they figured out a recipe on how to go about doing their own thing. Now, a lot of people, if you start listening to a lot of these influencers that are on whatever media or platform you can think of, usually, not always, but a lot of the people that have very good standing and have a lot of viewers and a lot of followers tend to tell you the same thing when it comes to getting more people to listen to you, watch you, like your video, or XYZ, right? They say consistency is king.
And a lucky break.
Whatever you... Well, yeah, you can say luck has some sort of aspect to it. It could just be right place at the right time, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll just give you this as an example. We all know that YouTube roughly started around 2006. 2006 is the year I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Right? So all I can say is, as an example, I really enjoyed watching Epic Mealtime. Something
it's
that
not
had
around
to do
anymore,
with food.
yeah.
It's not. But to Josue's point, where a lot of what they did might have been tried by other people, tried and replicated, but it just didn't work because it wasn't their style, nor was it something that they were probably passionate about. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they didn't gravitate toward that style. Everybody else created their own style, but we should always take into account that being authentic and being consistent, whether we like it or not, is the key to a lot of the success.
Yeah, to anything.
Right. So I'll give you another example. Mr. Beast. He started his YouTube channel very young. And it wasn't until, in your words, lucky break, when he started getting views, when he started doing tremendously difficult and almost like keep you in shock or in awe as far as
the string.
Like,
yeah. The storytelling technique.
Yeah. Or counting numbers, counting to like a million, thousand or whatever.
Numbers. Or top 15, that guy.
Right. Or, when he started giving out gifts or prizes to people that would hold their hand onto a certain object for as long as they possibly can. Right. So these are styles that people can't replicate. Now, some of your probably favorite streamers on Twitch probably have a YouTube channel and a Twitter, but they don't have an Instagram account. Or they might have a Twitter, they might have an Instagram, they might have a YouTube channel, but they don't have a Twitch account.
Next time on the LTS podcast.
So they always try to live their lives with that at the back of their mind.
At least we'd hope so.
Not knowing that this is a forever type of thing. A lot of them tend to say, I'm still kind of like in awe about me being able to actually work for myself doing this, which really, probably isn't the most painstaking type of thing. Well, again,
that's everybody from this observation. Yeah. From their side, it's like
that's their bread and butter and they're going to take it super seriously.
Talk to you later. Peace.